All right, guys, good evening. It is Tuesday, April 4th, and we are going over part 3 of You're a Badass, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life group. So Amanda's going to go in a little bit more in depth into meditation because, of course, that was a big chunk of what this section was about. And I love it. I know when her and I went through this the first time, she opened my eyes to so much more what meditation was, because when I first heard it, my perception meditation at first was like, if I can't quiet my mind, and I can't just sit there and not go total squirrel mode and just start thinking about everything else, that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And it's ironic because, after we went over this and Amanda's going over it and her and I have talked about it for, a couple months, just the idea of meditation in general. I actually had somebody come into one of my networking groups that I was at, and he teaches, the transcendental meditation method, or how do you say Ayurvedic, something like that? Ayurveda. Okay, so he kind of went into that because I was sharing with him, my holistic approach to things, and a little bit about Protandim that happens to have, 3 of those 5 herbs that are in that are, very much reinforced by the Ayurveda, herbal people, whatever. But it was just really cool how it's all tied in together. And I actually got a chance to go to his house, or his studio last week, and he gave me a little bit more of an in-depth presentation as to what he thinks meditation does, and sharing it with so many different types of companies and whatnot that he works with, where people will hire him to come in and, they make sure that they are investing in this. These companies actually don't mind doing it because they know that it's lowering their, the cost that they're going to spend on health insurance when they're providing benefits for their employees. So it was really neat for him to just talk about how, I loved his comparison. So I wanted to bring it up, even though it's not in this book. And Amanda, let me know if you've ever heard this before. What he likes to say to his people is that you think of your brain, or your body in general, just as an ocean, and it's all this chaos up top. I'm sure you've heard this, but it's crazy how there are people that will, scuba dive and actually be in the ocean through tsunamis and everything, and come to the surface and never have an idea that happened, because when they were down at the bottom, at the base of the surface, or even just a couple hundred yards down, it's so much smoother. It's so much calmer. It doesn't mean that there wasn't chaos going up there, but the fact that you can bring yourself down to a place of peace, even when your life is chaotic, that's kind of how he compared it to. And I really love that analogy, because it doesn't mean that everything in your life is simple, and it doesn't mean that everything else really stops, but it's just bringing yourself down to that calmer level just temporarily. And then, yes, you have to resurface and you have to deal with things, but I thought that was just a really neat way to put it. So I enjoyed sitting down and talking with him. He goes into a little bit of the mantras, and how Om is not just what everyone's supposed to use, and a little bit about how, he's been trained to be able to figure out the right mantra for people, and everyone's is different. So I know Amanda is going to go into some of that. So I just kind of wanted to share my experience of how it wasn't even just with this book, it was someone else that I was exposed to. But I really love this, and I know that I talked about this when we kind of went over this before, Amanda, a year ago when we were, studying this with Patty. But I love the part that is talking about the disconnect, and that's why, meditation is so important, but specifically about how it's even more essential now that technology is at our fingertips, and the distraction becomes a way of life. Because the reason I want to get better at meditation is I noticed that even if my husband and I are sitting watching TV, and it's supposed to be a relaxing process, or just I cannot just sit and not be on my phone. It feels really weird. And so I'm so used to doing something. I need the laptop, I need the phone. And it's not that I'm uncomfortable with my own thoughts, but I guess that's how much my squirrel is running around. And I know that plays a role in my, adrenal fatigue and stuff, because you never bring your mind to that level of peace, to a level of calmness at the bottom of the ocean. I'm never at the freaking bottom unless I'm sleeping. And that's not good. You should never feel, and I've said this for the past couple of years, before I knew that I had the adrenal fatigue, I actually was at a point where I would say to Mike, the only time I feel at peace is when I'm sleeping, because I just couldn't get myself to relax, and I couldn't get myself to feel not stressed, even if life wasn't that stressful. I mean, I know I wasn't feeling good, but I just felt like that was the only way I could totally get my brain to turn off. And so I absolutely love this. I can tell you that I haven't spent enough time trying to really master it. I get to about a minute or two of taking deep breaths and just totally relaxing, but I want to get to the point where I can do this twice a day for 15 minutes. And it's so much more than just staring into a candle flame or the things that you may, have just heard here or there. There's so many different ways to do it. So I'm really excited for Amanda to be able to go into that. And I don't want to take too much time on my end, because I know so much value is in that. But that is really what I wanted to share, is the importance of being able to do this, because of the fact that everything else in life is just, it's just so like touch. And we become so accustomed to doing that as opposed to just sitting. And I really look forward to it. So Amanda, you can go right into it, because I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
I do want to just kind of open it up for just a second and see if maybe not talk so much about like what was cool in the book this week or what you did or like whatever, but like if something from our previous Zoom, so last week when we talked about part 2, if something like you took something from the Zoom or took something from part 2 of the book and you implemented it into your life and something changed, I want to hear about it. I know, Jennifer, I love that you posted that you finished the book for yourself. I am so proud of you. Shout out to you for that. That's awesome. Like if you've never finished a book, reading a book for yourself, that's a huge accomplishment. And part of a course, a 5-day challenge that I'm doing right now with one of my mentors is about acknowledging the things that we do for ourselves and acknowledging those small victories. So I'm so proud of you that you even like took the time to like tell us, because that's huge. That's huge. That's part of your growth. So is there anything else? I know Sheila's sitting at an election right now. I'm not sure if she's able to really talk or if she wants to. But is there anything else? Just give me a wave if there's something else that you want to share in regards to something that maybe you implemented or changed in your life this week that you care to share on our Zoom. Anybody? Oh, Jen. Good. Okay, go ahead, girl.
Definitely. It was our anniversary weekend. Didn't have the money to go away, but I asked, what did he want to do? He's like, the best time we had was sitting on a beach. We have a huge 24 by 24 foot sandbox, and the kids obviously don't need a sandbox anymore. So I made a beach. We had a beach night, and we made a bench, and I raked the leaves out. And instead of literally doing it all myself, getting pissed off because nobody's helping me, I literally asked for help, took my time, and it was nice to be out there. I worked as long as I could, sat a little bit, looked around. It was not hurry up, get it done. My daughter and her boyfriend helped hang the lights, and then my husband and I on Sunday made a bench in there. But instead of being it's hurry up, I have to do it, it's not going to get accomplished if I don't do it, I step back and just took my time. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, it does. It was much more laid back, and we had an awesome time Sunday night just talking. I listened, which is not very often for me, but just to see what he had to say. So trying to focus and be in the present instead of everywhere else.
That's so awesome. I am so proud of you, girl. You're making such progress. Like I hope that your family sees it too, because I know like in my situation and the progress that I'm making, a lot of it's internal and feelings. And my family can't necessarily see the progress yet, but I feel so different. And it that can be frustrating. So if they don't, and that's okay too. But I really hope that they're like, whoa, this is a different side of Mom. This is a different side of Jen. They're seeing that, they're acknowledging that. And I'm sure the way that they're reciprocating or reacting to you is probably a little different too, huh?
They like the laid back. They're on, I think, pins and needles waiting for the old mom to like lash out, and they were waiting for that. But it was nice. It was nice, relaxive weekend. Everybody kind of came out. Everybody kind of did what they wanted to do. And instead of it being, oh my God, Mom's got a project. Oh no, she's going to be a tyrant until she gets the project just the way she wanted it done. And if it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm a person where I have a picture in my mind, that's the way it has to be. And it rained Sunday night, and we still went out there in the rain and danced for our anniversary. Under the Rain with a song. So I mean, it was just like, it was so cool and silly. And he's like, normally this would be piss you off because I had a fire and I had candles and all this other stuff. I didn't put any of that out. We just literally went out. I grabbed my phone, put the song on, and turned the lights on, and we danced. And it was simple, but it was so awesome.
Yay.
So less is more, I guess.
Yeah, and really, like, so it sounds to me like you came to terms of surrendering to whatever was, you know, not saying it is what it is, but like, this is the situation. I have to deal with what I'm dealt.
I'm rolled with it.
You rolled with it. You rolled with
Rolled
the
with
punches.
whatever came.
Good deal. I love it. Good job. Alyssa, did you want to share anything in regards to that before I start?
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So different types of meditation. There are about 1,000,001 different types of meditation that you can do. The book lists some of them. Candlelight meditations, looking at a candle flame. It does help you focus. However, it doesn't really turn off the brain if that's the issue that you have. And so if that's the issue that you have, which most of us do, I mean, let's face it, first of all, women, we have a hard time. First of all, we're very passionate compared, like we have, if you were to ask a man how many passions he has in life, there's maybe 2. If you ask a woman, there's probably 10. You know, like we're more expressive. We're more passionate people. We love doing different things. I have said many times, I'm a Jill of all trades, master of none, because I've done a little bit of everything in my life. And so it is hard. Our brains are the same way. Our brains are wired to do this all of the time. Well, single thoughts and being mindful, and actually I've learned that, sorry, I have a hair, it keeps bothering me. I've learned that multitasking is actually not a good thing because you are not being present in what you are doing. It is better to be single-minded and focus on what you're doing. I mean, and we talk about this in business, like when you sit down to work, you sit down to work. You don't start scrolling Facebook. And I get caught in that trap all the time. But, you know, I never realized that in life. It's the same way too. Like if I'm sitting here on my phone and my kids are talking to me, am I really paying attention to them? Probably not, you know, so just being very mindful, and that's really all meditation is. At the root of it, all meditation is being mindful of what you are doing. If you notice, there's this craze about being mindful. It's about being singularly focused on one thing. So mindful eating. Do you sit down and do you taste your food? Or do you just eat it because you're supposed to eat it at the time you're supposed to eat it? And I'm not really hungry and I'm just using it because the clock says it's noon and I have to eat lunch. Or am I looking at my food and saying, oh my gosh, my sweet potatoes are super orange today, you know, like, and noticing those little things. And when you taste, like today, it's really funny that you mentioned Ayurveda, Alyssa, because I'm doing, remember that picture I sent you of the food that I'm doing this Ayurvedic cleanse. It's called a Khichdi cleanse, and you eat the same thing for 3 meals a day for 5 to 7 days. So I'm having the exact same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 5 days. And it is hard, but if I do it mindfully, and I'm like, oh, these sweet potatoes are really sweet. This asparagus is a little mushier than I need to not cook it so long next time. Or, you know, whatever it is. And really just being mindful about what you're eating, looking at the colors, so there's mindful eating. That's a form of meditation, if that's crazy enough, because you're focusing on what you are doing presently. Another one, and this is where I encourage all of my clients to start, is mindfulness meditation. So mindfulness meditation is not clearing your head of your thoughts. But what it is sitting either on a chair, cross-legged. I do recommend sitting up while you're meditating and not laying down unless you're doing some form of sleep meditation. Because they say there's a way, they believe that energy flows through the body, through the crown of the head, and your connection to the universe, to God or whatever, comes through that crown of your head. So you want to keep this all in alignment as much as possible. So I do recommend sitting straight up or as straight as possible, whatever's comfortable, and being mindful about your thoughts. But what that means is that when a thought enters your head, you have no attachment to it. you have no emotional reaction to it. So say I'm sitting and I'm visualizing, or I'm sitting and I'm focusing on a word, and all of a sudden, here comes a thought, and it's maybe something you have to do. All you do is you recognize that the thought is there. You don't hold any emotion to it, whether it's, you just let it be. You surrender to the thought, and then you let it go. And then you're sitting there and you're meditating a little bit longer, and all of a sudden you start getting really pissed off because your husband didn't do the dishes. Instead of getting pissed off, you recognize that my husband didn't do the dishes. I'm not taking the time to have an emotion wrapped around this. I'm just going to let it go. So being mindful of our thoughts and recognizing that they're there, and being mindful of our emotions and recognizing that they're there, but letting them go, it will help you to clear this space. And when you clear this space, it allows for more things to come in. So I just got chills when I said that. When you do this, so say I'm having a really bad day. They actually, in yoga, they say when you have a balancing posture. So for instance, everybody knows tree pose. Like every single person, whether you know yoga or not, knows tree pose. Okay, so it's a balancing posture. If you cannot balance in that pose, it's because of this. It has nothing to do with your coordination. They call it chitta, which I think of chatter, and it's mind talk. Chitta is a Sanskrit or Indian Hindu word for mind talk, mind chatter. And if you cannot balance on one leg, you have too much chitta. And so I look at that as we're taking captive of those thoughts, because our brain is run by our conscious, but that's only 10% maybe of the brain that we actually store. The rest of it is all in our subconscious. And so we have these subconscious thoughts that we don't even know that are going through our head. And that's why meditation can bring up things, and you're like, oh man, I can't stop thinking. Now I'm thinking about things from my past, or now I'm thinking about things that I haven't thought about in years, or now I'm doing this. And it's just really just taking them and releasing them, and taking them and releasing them, and taking them and releasing them. So that's where I tell people to start. Coloring. If you're mindful, that's why all those coloring books are huge now. That is a form of meditation. You can do creative art. I know Jennifer does a ton of creative projects. She showed us some in her group, which I think is great. She does a lot of painting. She does a lot of like wood palette stuff. She does a lot of that kind of stuff. She likes to cut out magazine pictures and create collages. If she's mindfully doing that, that is a form of meditation. If she is really focused just on that, and there is an intention behind it, that is meditation. So that is what I say about meditation. There's so many different forms. Just being mindful about your thought patterns and things like that is the biggest thing. I do want to talk about setting an intention versus having a goal, especially with meditation. So an intention is a way you want to be, or something you want to embody, versus the goal is something you want to have. And this is really crazy, but this is something that came up for me today. I was telling Alyssa about it earlier. There's a difference between being goal-oriented and being growth-oriented. And I didn't realize that some of my fears and some of my limiting beliefs had to do with the fact that I was in a certain particular part of my life, I was goal-oriented instead of growth-oriented. Meditation, any sort of change is all like this. So instead of being goal-oriented and saying, my goal is to sit here for 5 minutes and not think about anything. Let's be growth-oriented and say, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be conscious of my thoughts for 5 minutes, and I'm not going to hold any attachment to it, because that's going to cause me to grow. So there's a difference, because, that's whatever. And then there's mantra meditation, and Alyssa kind of touched on that. So a lot of people have talked about Om. Om is a standard, and it's actually pronounced A-U-M, Aum, because it is, if you look up what Om is, it's a combination of every sound from the back of the throat all the way front to the lips. That's why they say it's so powerful, because it's everything. It's all sound, and everything carries a vibration. So that word, Aum, Om, whatever, is all sounds. So it's all vibrations. So that's a very standard one. I do suggest looking into my teacher says, I know it sounds weird that you're saying something maybe in another language. Sometimes you may not even know what it means, but there is a reason for that. Because if you get hooked on, like, you could sit there and chant to yourself, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. But that's English. You have an attachment to those words. Whereas if I say Om Namah Shivaya, which means I bow to the teacher within. As I'm saying it, I don't really know what I'm saying, but it's resonating that energy through my body. It could be in Latin. It could be in Spanish. It doesn't matter. You don't have a physical attachment to it. So that's mantra meditation. Then there's things called mudras, and that's how you hold your hands. Do you ever notice people meditate and they do this on their laps? This is actually called Gyan Mudra. Each finger represents something else. This is my earthly self, and this is my higher self, or God, or universe, or whatever. And you're completing a circle. So you're creating that circle between you and your higher self, or your higher consciousness, your God, or whatever. That's what that is. And every finger has a meaning. So it's actually kind of funny, but if you ever notice you're standing there and you're maybe crossing fingers funny, look up the mudra, see if you can find out what it is, because it probably means something. It's really crazy. My newest favorite one is called Lotus Mudra. So there's 2 ways you can do this, and I love it because if you look up the meaning of a lotus has to go through a ton of mud to be able this beautiful flower on top of the surface. That's why I wear a lotus pendant. That's because it's a constant reminder of that a lotus is at ease in muddy water, right? So there's one that's a bud, and you just put all 4 fingers together on your thumb, and you sit like this, and it takes some work. You do this, or there's the open lotus, and you sit like this with your pinkies and your thumbs, and it's like an open flower. So those are 2 different mudras that you can do. This is Lotus Mudra, open. This is Lotus Mudra, closed. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ones. There's books on mudras. Pinterest is amazing for mudras. How I started meditating, and I've told this story before, but it's probably the easiest way for me to explain how I started visualizing this was before I even started doing mindfulness meditation, because I'm telling you that mind wouldn't shut off when I would do it. And the only way that I could do it is I sat like this with my hands like this and pushed my fingers together and my thumbs like this, and I sat with that at my heart. And I would just breathe in, and I would visualize light coming down through my scalp, soaring through my body, and shooting out this hole out through my heart. And I would just imagine this light coming down and flowing out, and coming down and flowing out, and breathing in, and the light would come down, and I'd breathe out, and that light would shoot out like a laser. And that opened up a lot of stuff for me. I started hearing things, and again, I was hearing my soul speak to me, my higher self. I was hearing God, and I didn't know what it was. And that is, again, like I've said, I've told this story, I was hearing God speak through me as me. So I was hearing my own voice, but it was something that I wanted to argue with. Like, I was like, what? No way. What are you talking about? So when you hear those things, that's why we talked about last week, the difference between ego and soul, or your conscious brain and your higher self speaking through you. So yeah, that's what I got. And next week, like I had said before we started recording, I really, really, really would love to take you guys through a heart mantra or heart meditation. It's a visualization meditation. It brought up a lot with me. It made me extremely emotional the first time I did it. I will just put that out there. But when we do this, we won't be recording. You can turn off your cameras, and we'll just mute everybody out, and you can just listen. That's fine too. But and then we can all come back on and kind of just talk about like things that we felt or didn't feel, or it was kind of weird, or we felt weird, or we didn't feel weird and we didn't feel anything, or whatever. I would like to talk about it though afterwards, because it is really, really awesome. It's about being able to give and receive love. And I know a lot of us have blocks in that area from either past abandonment issues, trauma, a divorce, breaking up with a boyfriend, loss of a dog. Like we're talking about like something that could be so superficial, but anything that we hold on that closes that heart, that doesn't allow us to both give and receive. And that's a lot of us have a lot easier time giving. Like we're givers, but we don't have a very good we're not very easy or able to receive compliments, money, hugs, love, physical touch. What are some other things that you can receive? Anything. Like even receiving the air around you. Some of us are like, oh, yeah, Maureen. There's plenty of oxygen, you know? So we have a lot of us have a really hard time receiving, period. And this meditation definitely is something that I do a few times a week now that I found it, because it is incredible. So I'm going to open it up. I'd love to hear any questions about meditation that if I can't answer right now, I can definitely get back to you. Or any thoughts or how to get over the fact that you feel stupid doing it, or, you know, whatever. A lot of people have those hesitations too. So go ahead and someone chat with me so I don't feel like I'm talking at you.
I mean, I've had this conversation with you multiple times, so I just feel like, I mean, if anyone else wants to say anything, but Amanda and I kind of went through this several times, so I'm just going to wait and see if anyone has feedback. And if not, that's fine as well. I mean, you can just kind of meditate on it until next week.
No pun intended. By a show of hands, how many of you guys actively meditate? Sheila. And I do. Okay. No one else does. Okay. On a regular basis. Okay. It's life-changing. I know it sounds crazy, but it's life-changing. Do you have any questions, Jen or Joanne or Sheila, about meditation? Sheila, if you want to type anything, you can. I know you're not able to chat. Miss Jen, do you have any questions?
No, I'm working on it. I got up to 3 minutes of working on being quiet. I started with music though, listening to actually jazz. Just changing out the music instead of having words, it's just instruments, and that's kind of when I worked this weekend. Instead of usually I'm singing and dancing as I'm working, it was more not thinking, being in the present of just literally raking the leaves and listening to picking out the different sounds.
Okay.
So that was kind of what I did. I never thought about it, but when I cut those pieces out, I rip them out and to find a word. Mm-hmm. And it goes either with the quotes that I have from the book that I'm working on building out, or it's something that's stuck and it's a positive word. And just sitting there, cut it out, and I have to put it up, and then I put it up and measure it. But I mean, yeah, that would be.
So there are also guided meditations. There are also guided meditations. You guys can go on YouTube and put an issue that you're you want a meditation for whatever it is. Meditation for sleep, a meditation. I mean, even as far as sex, there's meditations for everything. Literally guided meditations for everything. And that's actually how I came across the one that I want to share with you guys, is because I put in, meditations for opening of hearts, stuff like that. So Sheila says, I know that she struggles with the chitta. She can't sit in silence because any sounds I hear is distracting to me. Yes, but okay, so that can be a big problem. So taking that sound and just going, okay, I hear it, and then focusing back, and it does take practice. And then she says her chakra tones are her savior. So she downloaded an app on iTunes, and I think it's just called Chakra Tones. She might be able to, maybe she'll post the link for you in the group if you guys are interested. But she just downloaded it. It's free, and it's all these like sound bowls, singing bowls, and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I've used it teaching yoga a couple times as well. So I do want to share something with you guys that has been really on my heart since last Wednesday. And I know Sheila knows about this because we talked about it, but there's a thought leader. That's what I guess in Alyssa and Maya's realm, that's what we call them whenever we're like teaching personal development or we're coaching, like life coaching or doing that stuff. There's a thought leader, someone that I've been following now for a few months, that recently passed away when she was very young. She was only in her 40s. She has been helping me through a ton of trauma and clearing some stuff in the past, in my past in my life. And I found out she passed away, and I was really distraught by it because I, just started following this woman just recently. She's really been helping me and doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden, the next thing I know, she passed away. And then I found out that she actually committed suicide. And I was like really taken back because here I am following this woman. She's helping me clean up my past, deal and process some feelings that I have suppressed for, we're talking like 20 or more years, and I'm only 32. And I was like really shocked by it. And it made me want to go, actually, even Tony even said, he's like, part of my French, but he goes, so does this mean all this is bullshit? She couldn't even heal herself. She fell into her own thing. And I said, no. I found out more about what happened. She was trying to come off of medications really quickly. She was like sleep medication, anxiety. She cut caffeine cold turkey. And she was cutting back on alcohol or eliminating alcohol out of her diet. So we're talking about some pretty heavy stuff that she was going through. But it really was a big thing for me. And I just want you guys to put this out there, because anytime that you're going through a life transformation, really, really, really take care of yourself, because things like that can happen. Things like that do happen. And yeah, she was in the spotlight, and yeah, she was probably under a lot of pressure and stress, but things like that can happen. So I just want to put that out there, that not to scare you, not to, but really to show you that even us as quote unquote thought leaders, we have our own stuff we're dealing with. Like, I am not healed of my past traumas. I'm still working through stuff. Alyssa's still working through stuff. We all are constantly working through stuff. And the other thing that taught me was that you can't ever make it go away. There's not a magic day when all of this goes away, because it's part of you. It's made you who you are. And we love who you are. We're so happy that you are here and that you are with us or watching or whatever. But it's a cognizant reminder that we can't ignore who we are or who we were or where we came from. Not who we were, but where we came from. But we have to feel and process and deal instead of stuff and suppress and glue and Band-Aid and all that stuff and just gunny sack it, because it's going to come up. And she clearly had some stuff that she didn't deal with. And then by stripping away all the things that were helping her cope, it made her literally go crazy. So that's kind of a rough thing to end on, but I felt like I needed to share that. It's been really heavy on my heart this week, just in dealing with that. So take care of yourselves. And Alyssa, let's leave me with something positive, because I don't know why I waited until the end to save that, but I needed to share that with you guys.
Well, I will share with you guys, in case you didn't see my Facebook Live, I feel like this is kind of leaving you with a little bit of positivity. So everybody knows I love Joel Osteen. And when I was driving this morning with my freaking nut job lady that you guys know I work for part-time, I was going and doing a duty for her, buying stuff that she just didn't need. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman has more money than she has. Well, her husband does. But anywho, so I hear Joel Osteen. He's always speaking to me right when I'm with her. It's such a blessing that she has it in the car that she makes me drive. He said, become a professional ignorer. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that. I immediately took my phone and like recorded a voice memo because I knew I wanted to do a live on it later. I loved the phrase of that. But it's another way of just like, it's so nice to be in peace when you're doing like your meditation, but it kind of sucks when you come out of it and you have to go back into reality, and the rest of it is, yes, we got ourselves to the bottom of that ocean for like the 15 minutes or however long we do it, but it's just as important to go and make sure that you are doing everything you can to develop the skill set to protect yourself from all the other crap that's out there, things that would make you depressed, things that would, lead you to make you feel like you're not worthy, and all the things that you were just talking about, Amanda. So I love how he was like, of course no one's going to approve of everything you do or the choices you make of, the cleanse you decide to do, or how you want to discipline your kids, or what you choose to do as a business venture or whatever, but literally become a pro at just ignoring people and adding people to that list every single day of, oh, yep, I can start to ignore them. I'll start to ignore them. And she kind of, she talked about it in the book here, and it was something that I had just like highlighted really quick, but that she's talking about how you need to get out there and find some people who make you feel like you can leap tall buildings in a single bound. And part of doing that is, making sure that the people that you don't want to be around, and then getting around the people that you do want to be around. So become a professional ignorer and get on that list this week, because you'll be surprised if you start to like make a conscious list about people who you can ignore. Like it just becomes so much more real than just thinking, oh, that person is a total energy sucker, an energy vampire. So yeah, become a pro ignorer. That's my little tidbit to leave you guys with.
That's awesome. That just reminded me of something too. I want you guys to do something as homework. Remember that list of limiting beliefs that you made? If you still have it, next week we're going to do a ceremony with it. So bring the physical piece of paper with the stuff written on it. We're going to do something. It does not include fire, so you don't have to worry about burning anything down. But we are going to get rid of it once and for all. We are going to physically get rid of our limiting beliefs, because now we have them, we've written them down, and we're going to get rid of them. One other little piece of homework, and I'll put this in the group too, that I would love for you guys to do. And this was hard for me when I had to do it. I want you to write down things that you want to receive. Things that you want to receive. So in the specific workshop that I did, it was money, like money related, like things that I wanted to, and I felt so greedy. I was like, oh, I want a boat. Oh, I don't need a boat, but I really want one. So, but writing those things down, things that you want. It could be love. It could be a relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be something on those lines too, but write down things that you want. And we'll talk about that next week too, because that's all a part of this. And she actually has a book. Did you know she has a book about being a badass at making money? Just came out this year.
No, I don't think I heard about that yet.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to read that one next. On my own. So anyway, I don't have anything else. Does anyone have anything else before I hit pause for the cause? No? Alyssa. Sheila, enjoy the rest of your voting. It's Wisconsin voting today, and she works for the village. She's a clerk, so she has to sit there while no one comes and votes. So, Joanne, is there anything that you'd like to share? Yes, no, maybe? Yes, no, maybe? I unmuted you, girl.
Nothing really right now.
Okay. Well, we'll
I'd
send
like
you.
to talk to either you or Elizabeth. Probably you would be better, Amanda.
Okay. Yep.
If Alyssa doesn't get mad, but I'm not in a real good place.
Okay.
I would not get mad. That's fine.
Huh?
I would not get mad at you for wanting to talk with Amanda.
Okay. But I'm not in a real good place.
We'll send lots of healing love your way as well, or I will, if that makes it.
Okay. I don't want to do it tonight, but.
Nope, that's fine. You just contact me, okay?
All right. I will.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
See you next week.